Greetings and welcome to Zord's new space program. As you can immediately see, things have changed. There are mods. The first and most obvious is maybe the Farram Aerospace window that's appeared in the corner. And you can also see that the rocket looks kind of weird and we have new parts. I'll get back to those. And by now you should also see that the planet is different. It is bigger. I'm using the Real Solar System mod. If you are interested, the entire list of mods is in the description, but I should talk about the most prominent ones, why I use them and what they do. So the biggest mod, no pun intended, should be the Realistic Solar System and Realism overhaul mods. These, if you don't know, make the planet Kerbin and every other planet and moon in the solar system more like its real-life counterpart, and they also move things around, so the moon, which is now the moon, not the mun, even though it's called in the game, I'm gonna call it the moon. It's now way out, and it's on an inclined orbit, and Mars has 2 moons, and yeah, you get the drill. So that's very important. As you see, I'm not already in orbit. If this hadn't been modded, I would have been close. And basically every mod I use is to tie in and serve these 2 big mods. So Farram Aerospace required to get the somewhat realistic atmospheric behavior, which is required if you're gonna launch in a somewhat realistic manner. Real fuels and real, what's it called, stretchy SRBs are required to get somewhat realistic fuel behavior, realistic masses of your things. And I use procedural fairings to get fairings, because you need fairings if you're going to use Farram Aerospace. The list goes on. You can see all of them in the description, as I said. Now, there are several ways you can do this kind of modding overhaul, and I have chosen to change as little as possible. So I'm still using the stock engines. They have different stats, but it's mostly the weight that has changed, and in extreme cases they would have changed other values. Now you should be able to see that I have Remote Tech 2 installed as well. That's the link going back to the Space Center. It's not relevant for this particular flight as it is manned, but yes, I'm going to use Remote Tech, and this is going to mean that we are going to have to deal with light speed delays. That's going to be very interesting to see what we can do about that. I'm considering maybe using the KOS mod. Haven't decided on that yet. Let's see if it's necessary. By now, you should realize why the developers are not going with the realistic size of the Earth for Kerbin, because we are into a couple of minutes in this video and we're nowhere near orbit yet. We haven't used the first stage even. So this is gives you an insight into how different KSP is from real life, even though it's quite close to real life. The other big thing that I'm going to change for this space program is the format. Before, I used the format of just one big chunk for everything with a big goal at the end, and then just keep going until you hit the goal. And that's fine, but it meant that I had to choose between upgrading the version and risking losing progress, or keeping it the same version, which meant that I was playing version 2.1 or 0.21 for 6 months. Not ideal. Oh wait, we're gonna have to stage here. This is quite beautiful. So we separate the fairings, and then the second stage kicks in, which uses a regular 45 engine. It looks really small because you have expanded the cockpit, or the command pod, which is a lot bigger with the mods. Looking good. So yeah, the new system is gonna use seasons. So I'm gonna start the Zord's modded space program, season 1. This is the first episode, or really it's like a prologue. The season 1 is gonna have a set of goals. These are going to be more short-term goals. I think I'm going to have something in style with land a Kerbal on the moon and get him back. That's a quite, well, it's in real case speak, it's trivial. In this modded, it's not as trivial. So we'll see. You can also adjust these goals as the seasons go. And this is mostly the most important reason for making it with seasons is, as I said, now you can upgrade your version between seasons. And it doesn't really matter if you have to get a new save, because you're a different season and things don't necessarily carry over from season to season. We're getting very close to getting into orbit here. This is exciting because it's really hard to get into orbit with all these mods. So we'll see, if our periapsis, when our periapsis reaches above surface, there we go, and we're going to circularize a little bit, and we're above the atmosphere, so we have gotten into orbit! Great! Now I'm going to run the rest of the video at double speed, because this is taking forever. So you can admire the view here of Kerbin/Earth. It's the size of Earth, but it looks like Kerbin. And now we only have to get back down. We have completed the first manned space flight of the modded space program. Now, obviously, it's quite easy to get into orbit in regular Kerbal Space program, but it is a lot harder. There's a lot more things to consider when you're doing it with all these mods. You have remote tech, which may or may not be important. You have, well, it's a lot further to go. My orbital speed is 7.3 kilometers per second. That would be escape velocity by a wide margin on Kerbin. So a lot more fuel. You have a lot higher atmosphere. Not quite, but almost twice as high. No, not really, but almost. And now, on the way down, we have to care about re-entry heat, because I have deadly re-entry installed as well. So this is going to be fun. I wonder how many Kerbals are going to die. Hopefully none. No promises. So yeah, Season 1, starting today, we're going to... Well, the goals are going to be first to put a space probe on the moon. And secondly, we're going to put 3 or 2 or 1 Kerbals on the moon. And I'm going to call it the moon, because it's pretty much the moon rather than the mun. And of course the Kerbals have to get back. And then we'll see what we're going to do for Season 2. Maybe build a space station, maybe go to Mars. Going to Mars is going to be... I have a feeling it's a bit harder than going to Duna. Because going to Duna is... Well, once you get the hang of it, it's very easy. It's like a joke. So we'll see. I'm looking forward to all the new challenges and problems and headaches and pages upon pages of calculations I'm gonna have to do for this. Feels good, feels fresh. So let's see, we have survived re-entry. Yep, cooling. And the ablative heat shield has only taken a very mild beating, which is good because this is about as mild as you can make a re-entry. So now we have to rely on the chutes, and I have installed the RealChute mod. It's recommended, so I took it. And so this not only changes the behavior and settings of the parachutes, it also changes the appearance. So now we have 3 huge parachutes instead of 1 tiny one. And I really like that because this looks so much better. It looks, well, a lot more realistic. And I like it. As we are approaching the water, just time accelerate this last boring bit, you could say that the mission or the general goal for this new season, this new series of seasons, is going to be something in the style of to make this that I have just done trivial, because this is not easy. This was the first attempt and it worked, but I have done previous first attempts that have failed miserably again and again and again. So I'm going to try to make this look easy. That's my goal for this space program. So that is what I envision for the next step of this channel. We're going to go with mods that increase the difficulty and increase the challenge. I hope that the few viewers that I have managed to gather during the previous season or space program will appreciate this and stay with me for this journey that I'm going to make. And with that, I thank you for watching this first episode of the new space program, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!